Brazil is one of the biggest and most successful footballing nations in the entire world. This entire country lives and breathes football. They are known for producing some of the biggest and top talent to ever play the beautiful game. Pele, Ronaldinho, R9, Neymar, Roberto Carlos, and the list just goes on. They are the nation that has won the most World Cup trophies in the entire world, with a record 5 times. The last time they won the World Cup in 2002, they did it with absolute style and with an iconic team of legends. Cafu and Roberto Carlos in the defense, and the iconic front three of Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, and R9. However, that was their last World Cup, as fast forward 22 years, and Brazil have seen nothing but disappointment after disappointment in the biggest tournament in world football. Ever since the iconic 2002 Brazilian team won the World Cup, Brazil have fallen short in many major tournaments, only winning 3 Copa America titles and 0 World Cup trophies in the span. In the World Cup after 2002, they were always knocked out in the quarterfinals, but the one time they made it to the semifinals, in 2014, they got trashed 7-1 by Germany. Not just that as well, the level of talent that is being produced in Brazil is slowly declining, with Neymar being one of the last generational talents to come out of the country. What is going on with the Brazilian national team? It's time to find out. Number 1, tactics. Brazil is a team that is not always known for its tactics, but a nation that allows its players to express themselves and play very freely, hence making them such a joy of a football team to watch as neutrals. Back in the past, they were always able to freely play their style of football without worrying too much about the tactics and still be able to pick up wins. However, in the modern game, there's a lot more emphasis put onto the tactics and having a sense of control in the football match. A lot of the stronger European countries have implemented this and have managed to execute it really well. And obviously Brazil have tried to follow this trend. However, for Brazil, it went the complete opposite, as they failed in executing the new modern game tactics. The freestyle samba football works against the weaker opposition, and they're easily able to pick up wins. However, against the stronger opposition, who are tactically set up right and drilled the fundamentals by the manager's philosophy, they fall short. Yes, Brazil still generate the chances needed to win, however, it always feels in the game that Brazil lack the control, as the possession stats are very equal and the opposition team still have a lot of chances to score. For example, in the 2022 World Cup, when Brazil played Croatia in the quarterfinals, Brazil generated lots of chances. However, it always seemed that they lacked the control, as possession was very equal with Croatia, and Croatia were always showing the signs of scoring, which eventually happened due to poor defensive discipline from Brazil, allowing Croatia to score on the counter. The game eventually went to penalties, and that's where Croatia took the win. So it's pretty clear to see that Brazil have fallen behind the modern game, and the tactics as well that are involved with it. However, I think club football as well also has a big part to why Brazil has fallen. Another cause of the Brazilian downfall could be linked to how the game is being played today in club football. In the game today, a lot of managers, especially in the European top teams, choose to play a certain way and have a certain kind of control over the football match, similar to international football. This way, they expect all their players to play the tactics, systems, and roles that the manager has assigned for them, and less of an emphasis on risk-taking. This is the complete opposite of how Brazilian teams in the past liked to play, as they were more willing to take risks for the team in order to try to help them win, and they always played with flair. With the rise in the modern tactics and the rise of the hipster managers and all the new modern managers that want to play a certain style of brand of football, it has started to affect the young Brazilian talent. With a lot of young Brazilian talents moving straight to Europe and joining good teams in top leagues, like mainly the Premier League, instead of staying in Brazil and continuing development, the indoctrination process begins. They move to Europe as they can earn a higher pay and they can live a better standard of life compared to back home. However, once they arrive, they are taught to play a certain way and eliminate the way that they were playing back in Brazil. They ultimately become a completely different player in Europe compared to what they were back in Brazil. They play very well for their club. However, when it comes to the national team, they always underperform and they fail to deliver, leaving the national team suffering. Hence why today so many Brazilian players play so well for their teams and are overhyped on social media, but when it comes to the national team, they just don't do anything. In the Brazilian Serie A, players are able to play with more freedom and are able to express themselves without worrying too much about the tactics. However, in Europe, tactics are everything. So the young players become forced to adapt to the tactics and change their playing style to the point where they eventually become system players. They only rely on the system, and without the system, they don't know what to do. That's why when they play for their national team, they look like the shadow of a player they were when playing for club. Not just that as well, with the rise of many foreign leagues like the Saudi Pro League, Chinese Super League, and the MLS, offering promising players a huge paycheck, the offer is just too hard to turn down for young and promising Brazilians. Ultimately, they end up choosing the big payday in the foreign league, and with this, they basically stop caring and stop trying in football because they collected the bag. Rather than staying in Brazil and continuing development, they choose the path of money. So at the end of the day, Brazil is in a transitional phase. They're still the biggest footballing nation in the world and will undoubtedly be back to world champions once again. However, it is a dark period right now for the South American nation, especially with their superstar, Neymar, sailing towards the retirement path. Young, promising Brazilians getting snapped up by bigger leagues in Europe and getting completely indoctrinated to play a certain way, turning them to a completely different player what they were back in Brazil. Lack of quality talents being produced, and the national team struggling to adapt the tactics that the bigger international teams are playing to. However, not all hope is lost for the national team, as some of the new generation players look very promising. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Endrick, Lucas Beraldo, and Victor Roca. With new manager Dorival Jr., it will be very interesting to see what they can do in the 2024 Copa America, and if they can beat the holders, Argentina. So that is a wrap for this video. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the new generation of Brazil is good enough to win the World Cup? Or are they just going to continue in the dark period for a bit longer? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Take care.